my name is Jenna and today I'm here doing a movie and television show wrap up, but a little bit differently. Obviously I have not been on YouTube for the past 3 months, so I have not kept up with my monthly movie TV show wrap up. So instead this is a compilation of February, March and April, but I'm only going to be hitting the highlights because obviously it's been 3 months and I tend to go through TV shows and movies like a lot. So we are just going to stick to the highlights. We are also just going to jump right in. So I'm going to do this as in order as possible. The one TV show that I actually did watch, and I watched it in February, was The Umbrella Academy. The first season dropped on Netflix and I watched the entire thing. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Oh my goodness, that is a good show. So Uncredible Academy. They're new words that I've never heard of before. The Umbrella Academy is this fantastic show about this really super dysfunctional superhero family. That's probably the best way I can describe it. They are so dysfunctional, it's not even funny. I am surprised they managed to get anything done by the end of the series, and that is why it was so good. Klaus is my little cinnamon roll, and if anything bad happens to him, I will legitimately riot. He was hands down my favorite character. All of the characters were incredible. They were complex. They had really interesting relationships with each other considering they were brothers and sisters, and the biggest thing was they all had some serious daddy issues, but like it was done in such a way that it made total sense and it was brilliant and I absolutely loved it. The plot kept me guessing. I had no idea what was going to happen while I was watching this show, and I am so glad that it's been announced that we are getting a second season, because after that cliffhanger at the end of season 1, damn, I need a second season like now, please. I'd really love that. Another highlight from February was the Netflix original movie Isn't It Romantic, the one starring Rebel Wilson and Liam Hemsworth and Nick Jonas's wife, and Adam Devine, and damn, it was such a fun movie to watch. Like, the entire film itself was a romantic comedy, but it was also a real play on romantic comedies, so it just had this really great self-awareness going on that I absolutely loved. I loved the characters. I thought they were so much fun. The musical numbers were brilliant, hands down, and I just loved how adorable the entire film managed to be considering how self-aware it was. So in March I watched Captain Marvel, which was the 21st film in the MCU. It's the one that you had to watch before you didn't have to see it before Endgame, but like it did help. I loved Captain Marvel. Wait, have I been giving you guys star ratings? I gave you 5 stars for The Umbrella Academy, I gave 5 stars to Isn't It Romantic, and I would give 5 stars to Captain Marvel. This film was incredibly kick-ass and was so incredibly important to have a female be at the forefront of these movies. The entire film was brilliant. It had a really great supporting cast who were all fantastic and all really made the film what it was, considering the film, it sort of took place on Earth, but the majority of it was all about what was going on outside of Earth, and somehow they still managed to make everyone feel really human, and they really engrossed humanity in there, and it was so unbelievably well done. It was such an amazing way to introduce this incredible character into the MCU, and it really did set up my expectations for how we were going to see her play out Endgame. Those expectations were completely slashed, but either way it was such a good film, and I do highly recommend it. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch that one yet, watch it. So in March I had a bit of a Tom Cruise moment. If you guys were around on my channel in, it was probably 2017. Was I even doing these videos in 2017? I'm not sure. If I was, there's probably at some point a video of me talking about The Mummy. Tom Cruise's The Mummy. If I can figure out which video it was, I'll find it, and I will definitely link it in the description box below, because that was my first introduction to Tom Cruise, The Mummy, and it was a hot steaming pile of mess. It was such a bad movie. So I didn't really know how to feel, and then last year I watched the 6th Mission Impossible. I watched that's hard to say. I watched the 6th Mission Impossible film, that was Fallout. Hadn't seen any of the others, had no context for anything, and I realised, you know, Tom Cruise was not a terrible actor, it was just that film in particular. So in March I had a bit of a Tom Cruise month. I watched Edge of Tomorrow, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it had a really kind of a slow start, especially like the very beginning of the film. I think I missed because I just wasn't paying attention, and that was kind of important to pay attention to, but once we really got into the story, I got hooked, and it ended up being so stressful to watch. Like the film hits a point in it and it gets so suddenly stressful, and you don't realize how invested you are in this story and in these characters until that moment, and you go, I need them to succeed, I need everything to be okay, I need everyone to be okay, and you just kind of hit this moment where you're like, I can't turn away. I have to keep watching. I have to know how this is going to end. It has such an awesome premise, this film, and it was brilliantly executed. Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise did a really, really good job. I loved Emily Blunt's character. I loved Rita, because normally, obviously, in action films, women are, well, you know, they do tend to be shoved off to the side a little bit. Not Rita. Rita was like front and center. She was the one telling Tom Cruise's character, you're an idiot, get up, let's go do this. So I loved that. I loved the flipping of the gender roles there, but overall, such a good film. Highly, highly would recommend it if you haven't seen it. Like I said, bit of a slow start, but you will hit that point where you'll be like, this is stressful, I can't stop watching. Okay, and so then I decided to watch all 6 Mission Impossible movies. I watched like 4 in one weekend. I was like, no, you know what, I've seen the 6th one, I have to do this. So I watched all 6 Mission Impossible films. The first Mission Impossible film I gave 3 out of 5 stars to. I know that it was like, you know, it was the espionage and it was what the series was meant to be and it was what the TV series was, but I just couldn't get into it. Found it kind of predictable, like kind of really predictable, which is hilarious because apparently it's not meant to be. But I am glad that I've finally seen the movie with that scene that gets parodied everywhere where like he drops from the roof and he's hanging there. Yeah, I'm glad I've finally seen the actual one. But man, there were some interesting camera shots in that film that really distracted me, so wasn't the biggest fan. Moving on to Mission Impossible 2, I gave this 1 out of 5 stars. I don't know how they managed to keep going after the train wreck that was Mission Impossible 2. There was so much wrong with this film that I don't actually know where to begin. So let's just leave it on a positive note and say it was set in Sydney. I don't know how they greenlit anything after that. It was so bad. I messaged a friend who I'd seen The Mummy with and I was like, I think this movie, I think it's worse than The Mummy. It's not, but it's a very, very close second. Then I watched Mission Impossible 3, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to, which finally it was like, this is what Mission Impossible should be, and it was brilliant, and I got a lot of much needed context for the 6th film when I watched this one in particular. It was brilliant. I loved it. I loved the characters, and this is when like the team really starts to come together and we start to see these characters move forward into other films. Loved it. Loved everything about it. Like the stakes were so much higher and it was such a good film. I'm just looking at my notes here. I've only written down 5 Mission Impossible movies and I'm positive I watched all 6. Which one am I missing? Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, it's the 4th one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars and my entire notes for it just says, damn, I loved this. So clearly I really enjoyed that particular film. Then the one I forgot to write down is the 5th one, which is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I would give this film 5 stars. I think it was definitely one of the best and it gave me so much context for movie number 6. Like, if you're gonna watch the Mission Impossible movies, if you're gonna watch number 6, make sure you've at least seen number 5. So much context, but it was really good. It was like action packed and it was great and I loved it. And then I rewatched Mission Impossible Fallout, which is the 6th one, 5 out of 5 stars, and yeah, everything made sense suddenly because I knew who these characters were and I knew who the bad guy was and I knew what they were doing and everything was great. But I have to say, everything was so much more stressful. Even though I knew how the movie ended, everything was like a million times more stressful now that I knew who everybody was, because I suddenly had like a real investment in their future. I was like, damn, that was my Tom Cruise month. That was March. That was a lot of fun. But we're gonna move right on to April now, which was kind of a mess. I watched a lot of stuff in April. In April, I rewatched the original Dumbo movie from 1941, I think it was 1941. Yes, the 1941 Dumbo. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The movie goes for an hour, single hour. It's kind of racist. The pink elephants on parade are still giving me nightmares all these years later, but somehow it's this really heartwarming and heartbreaking story that I just couldn't help but love. And then I went and saw the 2019 Dumbo, the new one, the Tim Burton one, and I gotta say, not fantastic. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought visually this film was absolutely stunning. It was a visually stunning film. Tim Burton really did a good job in that regard. Overall though, I kind of felt that I was watching 2 movies mushed into one. So the first 40 to 45 minutes or so is the original Dumbo movie that they remade and whatnot, and then it suddenly switches gears and it's like we're watching a whole other movie, which didn't gel well. It really did feel like 2 separate movies meshed together, just running one after the other with the same characters, which felt really odd. They introduced a lot of plot threads threads that then weren't sort of followed through, and I didn't feel like any of the characters had any growth or substance. So by the end of it, the only character I cared about was Dumbo. Everyone else I was like, I don't really care what happens to you, but so long as Dumbo is okay. So in April I watched a film that I'm sure most of you also watched in April. That was Avengers Endgame, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. I thought it was a brilliant ending to this phase of the franchise. I have a lot of feelings about this movie. The more I think about it, I went and saw it a second time, and I can like confirm it's just as heartbreaking the second time around, but can also confirm the first time around you don't feel the 3 hours, everything's just rushing by and you're like, this is amazing. Second time you see it, you feel the 3 hours, you're like, oh, a long movie. But I thought they did a really good job of wrapping everything up. There was one thing in particular that I was really not happy with, and I think most people weren't. Well, I say most, but a lot of people weren't happy with it. But it was just one thing in particular. But apart from that, it's a brilliant movie, and if you consider yourself a Marvel fan, you have to see it. Even if you don't consider yourself a Marvel fan, just go see it. Let's put it this way. My sister's boyfriend, he's probably only seen maybe 4 or 5 MCU movies. We made him watch Endgame with us. He enjoyed it up until like the last 20 minutes when everything was just kind of wrapping up, and he was like, I don't know what's going on now. But up until then, he was really enjoying it. No idea who anyone was, no idea what was going on, but he still liked it. If you like superhero movies, you can still see Endgame without having seen anything else. It just won't make a lot of sense. Then to round out April, I had Disney Channel for the first time in my life. I had Disney Channel for 10 days, and it just happened to be over Easter, and they just happened to be doing like a Disney Channel original movie every night for Easter, so I caught up on some DCOMs. The first DCOM I caught up on was Kim Possible, the live action remake. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. It was so bad. The cartoon is much better. This film was so cookie cutter, it hurt. It hurt to watch it because it was so cookie cutter and so terrible. I was like, what did you do to this incredible cartoon series? You butchered it, which is exactly what everyone was afraid would happen, and it did. So, you know, good try, Disney. Like, good try. The actor, I'm not saying anything, like the actors who played Kim and Ron especially, they actually did, I thought they did like relatively well. It was just the film itself was not good. Then I saw Freaky Friday, the new one, the 2018 version, which is based on the Disney musical, which is based on the book. It's had nothing to do with the other films and whatnot. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I surprisingly enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to. I did love the songs. I thought they were really good, but I find I can't listen to them. I can listen to a lot of Disney soundtracks, and I do listen to a lot of Disney soundtracks, but this one in particular I can't get into. I don't know, it's weird. And I thought the cast did a really good job. Probably wouldn't watch it again, but glad I have seen it. And then the last film, the last DCOM I watched in April, and the last film in my highlights reel is Zombies, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. So Zombies is about, I feel like I have to give you some context. It's a Disney film about zombies. So it's literally set in this town where there was like this awful explosion, and so now there are zombies. So the town is divided in 2. You got zombies on one side, humans on the other. And in this film, zombies are going to school for the first time, and so we follow Zed, who is a zombie, and Addison, who is a human and is wanting to be a cheerleader. And it's basically Romeo and Juliet, but with zombies and with a Disney Channel ending. So I loved it. I really did. I found that I really enjoyed myself while I was watching it, and I thought it was a really great film. It had, you know, its Romeo and Juliet vibes, but it also has really catchy songs that I can't stop singing. So that film was definitely the best of the DCOMs that I watched that weekend. And there we go. Those are just the highlights of the movies and TV shows that I watched in February, March and April. I did watch more, but like I said, we'd be here forever if I went through all the stuff that I watched. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a comment below and tell me if you have watched any of these movies and TV shows and what you thought, because I would absolutely love to know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.